Welcome back to my secret volcano base. It's time to talk some movies, specifically Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Really just got home like 20 minutes ago, kind of had some thoughts I wanted to get off my chest, so we're here. Fair warning, there's going to be some spoilers ahead. I don't know if I could talk about this movie without spoilers, so be warned if you haven't seen it. Go see it, come back, check it out, let me know what you thought. I think overall, it's a solid movie. It felt more comic booky than the other two did, in a really good way. This is Rocket's movie. There's no two ways about it. I know it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but it's the story of Rocket. We discover his origin. It ties into the big bad of the movie, The High Evolutionary, and we finally learn all the stuff that Rocket's been hiding and not wanting to tell anyone. Most importantly, super big spoiler, he is actually a raccoon. He's been fighting that for years. He's been saying he's not a raccoon. He started life as a raccoon. He's unconscious for most of the movie, and that sort of kicks off everything else that happens with the movie, but still somehow it becomes Rocket Raccoon's movie. Something that really stood out to me, even like 10 minutes in, as soon as we start learning about Rocket's past, it feels like a lot of it came from this comic that Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely did years ago for Vertigo called We Three. It's about these three animals that have been cybernetically enhanced by the US government, turned into killing machines. Long story short, they get loose, and I'm not saying it's word for word or beat for beat, because it's not, but the vibe is very much the same of like what Rocket was going through. All that said, go check out We Three. I've just got some thoughts here. I'm gonna get them out. They're not any particular order, but stuff that just struck me about the movie. I absolutely love how joyful Drax the Destroyer is, and that's really funny to say for a character whose name has Destroyer in it, but he is just a joyful being. Cosmo is amazing in this. The telepathic Russian space dog. Absolutely a standout character. Loved every time they were on the screen. The movie is almost worth it for Cosmo. I dug the High Evolutionary as a villain. I don't remember him being a cosmic villain in the past. Someone can correct me. I'm happy to be corrected. I really thought he was more of like an Avengers villain, more of like a Earth on the Mount Wundagore with his Animen and kind of hanging out there. They touched on elements. They kind of pulled in elements from him, but it doesn't really feel like the comic High Evolutionary. That's not a bad thing. It's just a different thing. On that same tip, I did not dig what they did with Adam Warlock. It really felt weird. It felt like they were making him big and dumb for no reason. Like Adam Warlock is really supposed to be Space Jesus. And I get that we've got the conceit of like, oh, well, they let him out of his cocoon or whatever it was he was in too soon. But it still feels really weird that he's kind of just this big, dumb muscle for some of the other characters in the movie. Again, it's not like a make or break it for me. I'm not like the world's largest Adam Warlock fan. It is just something that stuck out to me that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. On the flip side of that, I really, really enjoyed what they did with Peter and Gamora. You know, there's this whole tension of the Gamora that we have right now is came back, 5 years ago. I'm not going to go into all the details of Endgame and Infinity War, but we got a Gamora at the end of that is 5 years younger than the Gamora we had, and she doesn't remember any of her time with the Guardians. She doesn't remember her time with Peter. She doesn't remember any of that. And there's been this whole tension since then of Peter trying to get her to recognize their relationship and to we're a thing. We should be a couple. We should be a couple. We work so good together. This, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. They resolve it really well. There's growth on both sides. Gamora sort of sees a little bit about how her older self could have fallen for him. And Pete finally realizes that this isn't his Gamora, and he's going to have to let her be who she is. And if they're meant to be, then their paths will cross. There's a great little scene at the end. I was really worried they were going to have them kiss and make this big moment. And instead, James Gunn took the swerve, and they sort of acknowledge each other. They acknowledge, the situation that's there and the road that could have been, and they go separate ways. And it's really great. Overall, definitely go see this movie. I mean, you're going to go see this movie if you're a Marvel fan. If you're a Guardians fan, you're absolutely going to go see it. It's great. It's solid. And it kind of wraps things up really nicely, given that we're not going to have James Gunn on the series anymore. We've sort of he's said what he needs to say, and we can move on from there. So go check it out, and let me know what you think about it in the comments.